Back in 2007, a game dropped called Kane Lynch Dead Men. In a world of third-person shooters, this title and its much-criticised sequel Dog Days were a love-it-or-hate-it experience. Some didn't like the gunplay elements, and both games were very short. The first one took 4 hours to complete, with the sequel having a 5-hour runtime. The games were praised, however, for the dark, gritty representation of the criminal underworld in the US and in Shanghai. It was brutal in places and was basically a non-stop action fest, in which the only respite was found during load screens, and Kane and Lynch bickering like an old married couple.
We could have gone to the hotel first. 12 hours on a plane, my neck is killing me.
Stop bitching. We still got a long night ahead of us.
Bitching? I'm not bitching. I just hate being ignored.
Just for your information, I played and recorded these titles on a fat PS3 with the actual physical discs, and the way that these games, in my opinion, were meant to be experienced. Due to the game's short run times, I'm going to tackle them in one video. I will say before we start that Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days was a nausea fest, as the developers, IO Interactive, yes, the very same developer that made Hitman, went for a found footage angle, and due to non-stop action, this resulted in lots of motion sickness. A similar artistic direction to Max Payne 3, which was a great game, but an absolute chunderfest if you played it for more than an hour. So basically what I'm trying to say is that if you're sensitive to motion, then please be aware of that when in the latter half of the video. But I think that's everything covered now, so let's jump into the story from Kane Lynch. Our story starts in the year 2007. Adam Marcus, also known as Kane, which is what we'll be calling him for the rest of the video, is on death row after he was convicted of manslaughter. He's recounting the contents of a letter he had written to his daughter, Jenny, in which he expresses his sorrow and regret for mistakes that he'd made in his life, and for the pain he's caused, and for how that affected Jenny. You see, Kane, a former police officer, is a former mercenary who worked for a mercenary group, the Seven. He joined the Seven after the death of his son sent him into a spiral in which he became estranged from his wife and daughter. The tragedy here is that Kane's son, Stephen, when he was age 4, got a hold of his gun and accidentally shot himself with it, hence why his wife left him. A shady mercenary group, not much is known about the Seven, but Kane was a part of this group for about a decade. He'd managed to get quite a prominent position alongside the 7 founders of the group, but one day everything changed when Kane went on a mission in Venezuela, had the mission go horribly wrong, and 25 innocent people were killed. Not only that, but the 7 were wiped out after Kane had left them for dead in Venezuela, making off with a whole lot of cash. But the crimes in Venezuela weren't the only thing that helped the police nail him. That's just the start.
Investigation into multiple homicides that occurred on 2/22/03 at approximately 5:45 p.m. in Venezuela. We found quite a stockpile in your basement this morning. Getting your Christmas shopping done early?
I'm a gun collector, what can I say? They relax me.
What doesn't relax me is our new ballistics report. We managed to match up your UMP, Glock, and AK to spent bullet casings found in the scene of 3 Los Angeles bank robberies. Until now, these cases were unsolved.
You don't have anything and you know it.
Apparently not well enough. I'm not sure if we had enough evidence from Venezuela to make a case, but we do now. You may have even walked out of here today, but can you believe it? We received an anonymous tip about your little gun collection and those bank robberies. Someone out there wants you out of the way. Tack on the deaths in Venezuela and 3 dead bank guards, and it looks like you're going to ride the lightning.
No, it's impossible.
What's impossible? The 7 doesn't exist anymore. Don't you get it? You're not immune anymore, Kane. On your own, there's nobody to protect you. Except me, that is. So if you have something to say, we may be able to improve your situation.
I have nothing more to say to you. Those weapons aren't mine.
Well, if the 7 have been wiped out, who would want to put you behind bars?
I don't know. I'm done talking to you. Get me a fucking lawyer.
25 dead in Venezuela. How was the trip?
Haven't been to Venezuela.
So these airline tickets to Venezuela in your name are not related?
No.
Find that hard to believe. We know you were in Venezuela, and several sources have reported back about your involvement in the killings. Who were these people, and why are they dead?
I really don't know. Maybe you should question your sources as to why they want me framed for something I didn't do. Maybe you're barking up the wrong tree.
Enough of your fucking riddles. Let's get this straight now. You're not leaving a cell until we get some cooperation. There are 25 dead bodies in a massive explosion. 6 of them have patches of skin sliced off their wrists. If you want to see sunlight again, you'd better start talking.
You got a cigarette?
You got something to say to me?
You got a cigarette?
Now start talking.
Go fuck yourself. And give me a light.
Anyway, Kane is being transported from California State Prison to death row, and whilst on the transport, the prisoner next to him addresses him directly as Mr. Kane and tells him to cover his head as there's going to be a breakout. Sure enough, the prison transport is forced off the road, and Kane is dragged from it by the other prisoner and injected with adrenaline. Retrieving a firearm, Kane and the other man go with the masked men who liberated them, and after one of them breaks Kane's nose, they push on through the back alleys, fighting off the many police officers that are after them. Hauling up in a donut shop, Kane and the other prisoner eventually get picked up. They're taken to a construction site where Kane is dragged before the still alive founders of the Seven. They understandably are very peeved at Kane, not only for how he left them for dead, but how he ran away with the money. The leader of the Seven, known as the Brother Elder, tells Kane that they have both his wife and his daughter, and that he'll let them go if he brings back everything that he stole. He tries to appeal to his friend in the Seven, Carlos, but tells Kane that they cannot bend the rules. The Brother Elder tells Kane that he has 3 weeks to deliver what they want, or what's left of his family will die. They address the other prisoner, and it seems that he is to be Kane's minder, to make sure that he stays on track, and they give him a phone to keep in contact with them. When they've gone, the other prisoner introduces himself as Lynch, full name being James Seth Lynch, although he has claimed ever since it happened that he blacked out and can't remember doing it. Checking out the gear they've been left with, Kane teaches Lynch the basics of how to stay alive in what are sure to be many gunfights they'll be caught up in if they're to go and get the Seven what they want. He teaches Lynch to fire from and to stay in cover, but the little training drill is cut short by the site security showing up there. Escaping with Lynch, the plan is to go and pick up the stash and to give it to them. Pretty simple plan, but nothing is ever that simple. The stash is inside a bank vault, so they meet up with a vault breaker Kane knows from his time in the Seven. Gaining access to the bank and accessing the roof, Kane throws fentanyl gas grenades into the ventilation shaft, which will knock everybody in the main part of the bank out. They split up, with Lynch going to keep an eye on the main part of the bank, whilst Kane and Vault Breaker fight their way through the security and to the vault, which Vault Breaker opens up by way of explosives. Vault Breaker hits the roof when he realises that Kane is trying to steal his own stash, and yeah, he's not happy. Problem for Kane is that some of what he's looking for is not there, and after Vault Breaker gets them all open, it's still not good. The stash isn't there. But Kane has an idea who took it, someone he calls the Old Man. Whilst all this has been kicking off by the vault though, Lynch blacked out and murdered the hostages. The only thing now is to fight their way out of the bank. Doing so, they get to their driver who picks them up. Not out of the woods yet, they now need to lose the heat and try to destroy all the cop cars in pursuit. Eventually though, the van crashes and breaks down, so Kane and Lynch hold off the police until Vault Breaker and the driver can get it moving again. Fighting off the last remnants of the police pursuers, the crazy driver drives into the subway, but this kills both the driver and Vault Breaker. Kane and Lynch get down to the tracks. From fighting off the SWAT teams, they manage to board a subway train, escaping. Now Kane doesn't have a plan to get the rest of the stuff, but he does know a girl that may be able to help them get it. She runs a club in Tokyo, so Kane and Lynch take a trip there. Entering the club, they make their way through the sea of people there and force entry to this girl's office. This woman, Yoko, doesn't seem too happy to see Kane and mentions her father. Lynch then punches Yoko, knocking her out, and they attempt to kidnap her and walk through the club with her on Lynch's shoulder. Naturally, this goes about as well as you'd imagine, and a massive fight breaks out. The reason they are kidnapping Yoko is because her father, a known criminal, Mr. Retamoto, is the one who has the briefcase. The club clears fairly quickly, but Kane and Lynch are able to get to safety. The problem is that Yoko is pretty tough, comes to, knees Lynch in the nuts, and runs back to her office. So they have to go to her office again, kill her guards, kidnap her again, and cross the roof, taking out many of Mr. Retamoto's men in the process. Calling Mr. Retamoto, the Old Man, Kane tells him that he wants to make a trade, his daughter in exchange for the briefcase. And a couple of hours later, they arrive at the agreed meeting place. Flanked by 2 local mercenaries, Kane approaches the pagoda where Retamoto is meant to be meeting him, but all that is there is a phone taped to the floor. Retamoto is on the line, and he says that they need to sit down and sort this out, as he knows the 7 have got Kane's wife and daughter. Kane agrees, but something happens on the freeway, and Lynch kills Yoko because she tried to escape. This causes Retamoto to unleash his guys on Kane and the 2 mercenaries, and they have to fight their way back to the freeway in order to get back to their van. Taking out Retamoto's men and the police that showed up, Kane tells Lynch to call the 7 even though he doesn't have what they need, and that he'll just have to take his chances. Kane reminds Lynch that he's just as dead as he is once the Seven have got what they need from him, but Lynch doesn't believe him, stating that he has a deal with them, which was that he too would be able to join the Seven and get what used to be Kane's seat. Sure enough, the Seven don't honour whatever deal they had with Lynch, and just as Kane said, they want rid of him too. At another construction site back in the States, Kane begs the Seven for more time to try and get what they want, but some members of the Seven are delighted that Kane couldn't deliver what they wanted, as they just wanted to see him lose everything. He once again tries to appeal to his old friend Carlos. All he can do is promise that Kane's family get buried somewhere nice. They go to leave and Carlos tells Kane they're flying out to Havana, Cuba, very shortly. They leave Kane and Lynch with a member of the Seven known only as Mute. Kane's family arrive and his wife calls him selfish, telling him they'd just gotten their lives back on track. Mute then brutally executes Kane's wife, and he, filled with rage, jumps out of the hole he stood in and beats Mute to death with a shovel. More mercenaries show up and killing them all, Kane comforts Jenny, who doesn't want to talk to him. Lynch warns Kane of something and then a huge loader drives onto the site in an attempt to kill Kane and Jenny. Having to take out the driver before that can happen because Jenny is somehow physically not capable of getting herself out of the hole she's in, Kane has Jenny get herself someplace safe. Lynch asks him if that was a good idea, but nonetheless they need a plan to strike back at the Seven. After burying and saying goodbye to his deceased wife and apologising for the damage he has done, Kane pulls out a list of what are called dead men, people that opposed the Seven and as a result were disowned by them and who are now languishing in maximum security prison. They'll all want revenge on the Seven, so they need to break them out of prison. Lynch says that he wants to hit back at the Seven too. He says that his wife was murdered 5 years ago, clearly in denial at the fact that he killed her himself during one of his blackouts. Using the loader from the construction site, Kane uses it to smash through the outer prison walls, and they fight their way through the guards there. They free 3 of the dead men, Riffick, Tharper, and Shelley, who only agree to join Kane's cause when the words money and payment are mentioned. Shelley, however, knows of Lynch, and tells Kane that Lynch's wife wasn't murdered, but that Lynch killed her himself. Anyway, after opening all of the cells, this gives all of them the cover they need to get away, and they do so. Kane has got on his dead men, and the crew make their way to Tokyo as they need to hit Mr. Retamoto first, as he'll be looking for Jenny after what happened to Yoko. Assaulting Retamoto headquarters, they kill him and Kane grabs the briefcase back. They then have to fight their way out of the building and down the street. After a long journey through the streets, they just about make it to a bus station where they get picked up by a driver. Time to go to Havana and eliminate the Seven. So the Seven are in Havana because there's a civil war. They've been contracted to help overthrow the government there, as that is their specialty. As well as that, the Havana job is their last big job. After this one, the Seven are going into retirement as they're getting too old for the mercenary business.
My wife always wanted to go to Havana. She said it was pretty.
Believe me, it's not.
Oh, fuck off! Fuck! Oh, fuck! My ears are bleeding! I can't take any more of this shit! Just get on your feet! We're moving in now!
Having been separated from the dead men, Kane and Lynch regroup with them and push on and through the war-torn streets. Bringing down some VTRs and a couple of attack choppers, they manage to infiltrate El Capitolio, which is where the local resistance say the Seven are holed up. They're able to kill one of the Seven, the guy who broke Kane's nose, and they find Carlos inside too, having been abandoned by the Seven. He says they fled to Venezuela as they were losing the battle there. Carlos says that he can lead them to the brothers, elder brother and younger brother, as Carlos too wants his own revenge for them having abandoned him. One of the dead men, Tharper, wants out, saying that he cannot trust Kane anymore, but Kane is able to keep the remaining 2 motivated by once again promising them payment. So they arrive in Venezuela. Meeting with Carlos in a clearing overlooking the entire valley, he says that the men there don't have radios but signal trouble by way of alarm flares, so they need to stay quiet or take out the men firing flares before they alert others. If an alert is sounded, then the brothers who are near to the airfield will escape. As for the dead men's payment, Carlos says there's tons of heroin in the village, so they can take as much as they can carry. Making their way to the hacienda, being careful not to set off any alerts, they are able to get to the brothers' compound. And having been waiting for Carlos, who turns up carrying a mine so they can blow the main gate, Kane takes out any guards on the outside so that Carlos can plant the explosive, but he gets captured. In the process of storming the compound, they enter a courtyard and see someone sat on the fountain.
Jenny? Jenny? Are you hurt?
Kane, step back. One false move and we'll kill you.
Just let her go.
Kane, what's wrong with you? Look what you're putting your little girl through. And your old friend, Carlos.
Leave her alone.
Leave her alone? Do you hear that? That's Kane's favorite solution.
Leave it and flee.
How about taking care of her instead, you fucking quitter?
With Carlos's mine lying on the floor next to him, Kane shoots it, and this takes out elder brother. With bullets flying, Kane and Lynch take a truck and drive over to the airfield, taking out anyone in their way. However, back in the village, the other men have been ambushed, and they are holed up in the church there. Kane's focus, though, is Jenny, and he does not care about the other men. Getting onto the airfield, they see the plane getting ready to take off, and Kane shoots the engines so it cannot take off. Killing everyone on the plane, including the younger brother, Kane grabs Jenny, who clearly has no love for her father after the brothers told her what Kane did to them. But he now has a crucial decision to make. There's a chopper next to the airstrip and he can choose to take Jenny with him. This means that he leaves Lynch and the others behind to die, basically repeating what he did before when he abandoned the Seven. Jenny really hates him now and she calls him a traitor. But the second option is to go to the village with Lynch and Jenny and to rescue the two men trapped in the church. Fighting through the village, they only manage to rescue Shelley, as Riffic is dead, but on escaping to the dock, Jenny is shot and seems to die from her injuries. But Kane cannot and will not accept that she is dead, despite all the signs pointing to her being dead. Shelley manages to escape in one boat, whilst Kane, Lynch and Jenny board another one, and they manage to escape the village, whilst Kane reads Jenny the letter he wrote for her. And this is where Kane and Lynch Dead Men ends. 4 years have now passed since the last member of the Seven had been killed. Kane and Lynch went their separate ways, and Lynch is living in Shanghai, where he's got a new girlfriend, Sue, and is now working for a British gangster by the name of Glazer. Kane's just shown up there as Glazer, and by extension Lynch, needs some help completing an arms deal. Lynch, for some reason, has a cameraman with him. Kane tells Lynch that Jenny is okay, meaning that she survived the ordeal in Venezuela. Bringing Kane up to speed, he says things should be going down tomorrow morning. Lynch is taking Kane to his hotel, but he has to do one thing on the way, and that is speak to some guy and to send a message. He's apparently been talking too much. Ascending an apartment complex, which Lynch says is mob turf, so they need to be careful, they force entry to the guy's apartment in order to try and take him by surprise, but Kane and Lynch are immediately met by gunfire. They clearly caught this guy in the act with his girlfriend, and the two of them, scantily clad, run away whilst Kane and Lynch fight their way through the gangsters and through the very busy streets of Shanghai. They do eventually catch up to the guy in the wet market, a guy named Brady, who uses his girlfriend as a human shield. Kane accidentally shoots her in the chest, killing her, and Brady decides to cut his own throat, baffling Kane and Lynch. They leave the area and Kane goes to his hotel. After telling Glazer that Kane is there, they arrange to be picked up. En route, Glazer gives Kane the details and tells him that once they get the cargo to Africa, then they'll get paid, and this is a job which Kane will consider his last. However, their transport comes under attack. Kane and Lynch exit the vehicle and clear a path so their car can move up. Despite their best efforts though, the car is rammed off the road again, this time by a truck, and they all once again have to fight their way to safety, but this time they have to kill police officers. They manage to find refuge in an underground car park, where they arrange to be picked up, and after another gunfight between them and the police on the streets, they are now able to get out of there. In the car, Glazer tells Kane and Lynch they are on the turf of a gangster called Singh. Glazer wants them to go and talk to him in order to find out why they attacked him, so they head over to Singh's base with some backup. The base is a sweatshop, and a fortress at that, and it's not long until they are inevitably fired upon by Singh's men. Searching a nearby office, Singh is there, and questioning him, he refuses to tell them anything. But he does ask if they think they are big men for shooting young women. Confused as to what he's talking about, it's now about to become clear as to why Brady killed himself. The girl Kane shot and killed in the wet market is the daughter of a very dangerous and corrupt politician by the name of Shang-Chi, who has pretty much the entire police force and also various mercenaries under his control. The hit on the freeway was not on Glazer, but was on Kane and Lynch. Glazer's guys that are there are furious that all this trouble has kicked off due to the actions of both Kane and Lynch, and they turn on them both. Trying to survive, a truck shows up which will pick up Glazer's guys, but Kane and Lynch destroy the truck as a way to silence them so that their boss doesn't find out what happened. The police show up, and after fighting their way through them and through the alleyways, the pair get to relative safety, with Kane asking Lynch if the deal with the guns is still good, to which Lynch responds that it will be as long as Glazer is none the wiser. Lynch tries to call Sue, but she's not answering. He leaves her a message telling her they need to leave the city. He arranges to meet her at a restaurant as they need to disappear. Sue does not show, but the police do, and they are more heavily armed than before. Fighting their way through the restaurant, they find the staff from the restaurant gagged and tied up in the back, prompting Kane to point out that these police officers were likely sent by Shang-Chi. Battling their way through the back alleys and streets and avoiding search parties, they're able to reach Sue's apartment building where inevitably people are waiting for them. Shooting their way to Sue's apartment, she's not there. Kane says they need to leave the country, and they are in way over their heads, but Lynch isn't going to leave without Sue. They're ambushed and just about make it out alive, and Lynch sees a terrified Sue on the other side. The men there, no doubt on Shang-Chi's orders, are trying to take her. Sue runs, and moving across the rooftops, Singh appears and takes Sue as a human shield, but Kane and Lynch are surrounded by Shang-Chi's men and Singh's men. Kane says he can hit Singh with a headshot, but Lynch knocks Kane out, telling him that he's sorry, and he surrenders. With them both now captured, Sue screams for Lynch to make them stop, implying that she's been gang raped. Lynch comes to amongst a load of garbage bags. He's been cut really bad as he was tortured by Singh, and he hears the screams of Kane, clearly being in receipt of the same treatment he got. Death by 1,000 cuts. Rushing to save him, Lynch kills Singh and frees Kane. He finds that Sue is dead. She's been killed by Singh and his men. With them both naked and injured, they run through the streets, all whilst being pursued by the police. They enter a shopping centre where they find some clothing. In discussing what to do next, they need to work on the assumption that the deal to transport the guns to Africa is still on, so they head to the location where the deal was set to take place. Glazer is there as expected. The problem is that he's fully aware of what's going on, and he orders his men to kill Kane and Lynch whilst he makes his escape. Killing Glazer's guys and catching up to him, he's now desperate to make a deal and reveals that he has a plane. He offers to tell Shang-Chi that Kane and Lynch are dead and they'll be free to leave the country. However, Glazer is shot by a sniper. Shang-Chi's men are there now, and Kane and Lynch have to fight like hell if they're to get out of Shanghai. Emerging out into the docks, Kane and Lynch board a train that's leaving, but this plan is short-lived as it immediately stops, and they are cornered by a chopper, and the duo are then captured. Now on the chopper, Kane and Lynch gain control of it and force the pilot to take them to Shang-Chi's building. Unfortunately, they are found out pretty fast, and they kill a lot of people, security and soldiers, inside the building who work for the corrupt politician. Taking out a couple of choppers, they crash land on the roof, and work their way through the building in order to find and confront Shang-Chi. They do eventually find him, and he's very impressed with how they work their way through the building, offering them a pardon for all they've done, if they accept a job working for him. But Lynch isn't having it because of what happened to Sue, and he shoots and kills Shang-Chi. Kane is fuming, as that was their chance at freedom. With no other option, they head to the airport in order to try and find a plane so they can get out of the city. Brute forcing their way through various hangars at the airport, they don't find a working plane they can use, but they are able to see one preparing to taxi the runway for takeoff. Making a desperate dash for the plane, they're able to board it, but as it takes off, the cameraman is left behind, and no doubt left to be arrested by the police. It's then assumed the police reviewed everything the cameraman captured on film, proof of everything Kane and Lynch did, along with Shang-Chi's corruption. But none of that is confirmed as canon. But that's it for the short saga of Kane and Lynch. As I mentioned at the start of the video, these games were incredibly short, and there's really not that much depth to the story. So I'd guess this isn't really an explained video per se, but more of a retelling of the storyline. Nonetheless, if you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are not already. Leave a comment below with your thoughts, but for now, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.